Could the Saints fill their head coaching vacancy with a former college football coach? It seems like an actual possibility. We'll talk about that right here on the Straight Up Saints podcast.
You're listening to the Straight Up Saints podcast.
What is up, Who Dat Nation? Welcome back inside another edition of the Straight Up Saints podcast. I'm your host, Chris Vogel, and as always, the Straight Up Saints podcast is brought to you by Scott Vicknair Injury Lawyers. You've been injured in any kind of accident, car, truck, 18-wheeler, or hurt offshore. Scott Vicknair handles it all. You give him a call at 504-500-1111 for a free consultation. They'll always fight for the win. The Saints season wrapped up on Sunday, and in reality, a lot of us fans kind of know that it wrapped up, if we're being brutally honest, in October, honestly, with the way the season played out for the Saints. And at this point now, it's the offseason, and this is going to be one of, if not the most important off seasons in maybe 2 decades for this team. You got to find the right head coach. You got to figure out what you're going to do in the front office. You got to figure out how you're going to really structure a roster that doesn't have a lot of building blocks at the moment. But the first order of business for the Saints is figuring out who's going to be their head coach. And there will be plenty of rumors going around over the next couple of weeks, next couple of days. You know, we've already heard that the Saints have requested an interview with Aaron Glenn, which doesn't surprise anyone. Aaron Glenn's most likely the favorite. What is fascinating, though, is it comes out today that the Saints are expected to interview with former Stanford coach David Shaw. This comes from NFL Network reporter Jane Slater. Jane Slater said, 2 sources informed me that the Saints are going to interview David Shaw for their head coaching position. Shaw is currently a senior personnel executive for the Denver Broncos. He was the head coach at Stanford for 12 years and coached quarterbacks like Andrew Luck and Davis Mills. He also has an extensive background in the NFL as associate head coach with the Eagles, Ravens, and Raiders. So that kind of came out of left field. I did not expect that. Now, my initial reaction is a little bit of surprise, right? Like, you know, when you're thinking of names the Saints are going to bring in, you're thinking Aaron Glenn, Joe Brady, maybe Mike Vrabel, Brian Flores, guys like that. And I didn't expect David Shaw to be on this list. And maybe this isn't even, you know, something that will end up materializing into David Shaw becoming the head coach. But what I want to say and be fair about is this. I kept saying for the last couple of weeks that the Saints, whoever you hire as your head coach, you got to live with this decision because none of us fans can change it anyway. But all I ask is for them to be very, very thorough, cast a wide search, and bring in a ton of different options. So when you pick that coach, you feel like at the end of the day, that was the guy. And whether or not it's true, I never felt that way when they hired Dennis Allen. We all kind of just reluctantly said, well, he's going to get the job. You know, Sean vouched for him. Everyone's vouching for him. So it's his job to lose. And that's what happened. And we found out that once he gets the job, the Saints are going to lose a lot. And for New Orleans, it doesn't mean they're going to hire David Shaw, but let's call it what it is. David Shaw is a very intriguing name. He's a guy that, honestly, 7 years ago, probably one of the hottest names in the coaching market, right? Had a lot of success at Stanford early on, especially in the post-Harbaugh era of Stanford football. You know, looking at his numbers, 2011, 11 wins, 2012, 12 wins, 2013, 11 wins. And I would say, honestly, after 2017, I thought he might have dipped, right? You thought that Stanford was kind of getting on the downslope a little bit. The NFL buzz was hot. Never really materialized for him to be an NFL head coach, at least not until this point. And Stanford obviously really kind of hit a hard slide. And whether or not you want to blame that on him, whether you want to blame it on the changing landscape of college football, because Lord knows it has changed dramatically over the last couple of years, whatever you want to blame it on, David Shaw is an interesting football mind. And I do want to throw out that, you know, I feel like my entire existence, because, I mean, I'm 27 years old, so I haven't been around the block as long as I would have imagined. But David Shaw, in my mind, has been there the whole time of me watching football. And he's still only 52 years old. So age-wise wouldn't be a concern. Being around the NFL wouldn't be a concern. As mentioned, was with the Raiders, was with the Ravens, now with the Broncos. You know, I think that for him, there is an interesting resume. I don't know if I would say this is the guy. I've been pretty adamant that if you let Aaron Glenn build out his vision, I actually really like the idea of hiring Aaron Glenn. But David Shaw is a fascinating option, a name that I didn't see on the radar. And for the Saints, you know, you look at this team, the way they're built right now, they need someone to come in and completely overhaul this whole project and build a new Saints football. You know, we were so used to the Saints football vision of Sean Payton and Drew Brees and what that is and how successful that can be. Saints have to move on from that. Yes, David Shaw has a Sean Payton connection. That's undeniable. But I do believe you bring in a guy like him, you're kind of signaling you want someone to come in and be an architect almost. And who knows, maybe it is David Shaw, but it's an interesting name for the Saints to bring in nonetheless.
It's the most wonderful time of the year for getting in hoops, football, and hockey action at DraftKings Sportsbook. In the season of giving, we're being gifted college football and college basketball, pro football and pro basketball, and add pro hockey too, almost 24/7. And here's a gift for all new customers. Bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code BOOT. That's code BOOT, BOOT, for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins when you bet just $5. Happy holidays from DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over, age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in New Hampshire, Oregon, and Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ftball. NFL Plus Premium offer available only to new and former NFL Plus subscribers. Additional NFL Plus Premium terms at nfl.com/terms.
So what do you think about David Shaw potentially getting an interview with the Saints? Do you like this move? Do you feel like it is egregious? Let me know in the comment section below and I'll get back to you. Me personally, I'm not going to be hypocritical in this moment. I said I want the Saints to cast a wide search. David Shaw definitely fills that requirement in terms of going with a guy that hasn't been a head coach since his Stanford days, although that's not that long ago. He was a Stanford coach in 2022, so it's not like we're that far dated. But he is an interesting option, and I'm curious to see who's next for the Saints to show interest in. And whenever that happens, we'll have more content here at Boot Crew Media and the Straight Up Saints podcast, the destination for the Who Dat Nation.